Hello, my name's Cody Snow. I'm going to start a new set of videos about my experiences here in Seattle with these progressive wingnuts and about their racism and their direct retaliation against me because I don't fit into one of their little liberal boxes. And I'm going to try and start doing these every day. I only want to do it in the hopes that I can reach other people that are dealing with the same problem I am, which is these progressive liberal scum trying to do everything they can to hold people back that they want to label Nazis or bigots. So this is just an introduction. I'll be doing more detailed videos later, but just as an introduction to my story, I had a case manager at a program called the LEAD program here in Seattle, which is an acronym which stands for the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. Ditched me at the very end of my year-long program, personal year-long program I set for myself to put my life back together and to get myself back on my feet, back to work, and then hopefully back or into school to learn how to cut hair so I could open a barbershop for the homeless. I worked my ass off for a year, and in this program, and the program's preamble on their website states that they are there solely for redirection from incarceration into treatment, housing, work, whatever it may be, counseling, whatever you want to do with yourself, as long as it's positive and it's something else besides going to fucking jail. Well, when I entered this program, I did almost 3 months worth of social contacts down at the West Precinct with what is called the Community Policing Team here in Seattle. The Community Policing Team is a part of this program called LEAD that are the personal little watchdog, or not watchdog, more like attack dogs slash personal servant cops for the LEAD program that run around in a blue van here in downtown Seattle that is popularly known by the people on the street as the jump out van, that will pull up next to you and jump out and grab you and throw you in a van and haul you to jail whenever you run askew of this LEAD program. Now, the LEAD program, when I entered it, I had heard a bunch of rumors about how LEAD was nothing more than basically a citizen snitch program where they come and grab the criminal underworld, the street people, the druggies, the criminals that are known drug users downtown here in Seattle, and honeypot them in. Basically bring them in, get them into a compromised situation where they're going to go to jail, and then offer them like basically prizes out of the honeypot drawer, like gift cards, sleeping bags, telephones, whatever these people would want, in order to get them surveilling and snitching on their brothers and sisters downtown here. Well, I didn't believe it at first. As a person, I have a positive outlook on the world, or I try to have one, and I want to believe wholeheartedly that things are good and that people are good and that people's intentions are good. And I want to give anybody the benefit of the doubt right from the start with anything. Well, I had heard literally hundreds of times that this program was specifically meant to draw on the criminal underworld in conjunction with the other half of this program, which is an effort to build neighborhood watches, paid neighborhood watches here in Seattle that run around harassing the drug users and the dope fiends. And like I said, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. I believed that there was no way that people could put together a program in a city that would drag in the most vulnerable people in the city under false pretenses to not only gather information and surveil the rest of the public and the rest of their particular group, which is the homeless and the street people and the drug users, and bring them, give whoever may be superiors, police, whatever, information about what's going on in the city. I never believe that. I don't believe in I don't subscribe to 99% of conspiracy theories, and I believe that people are too fucking stupid to get together and do things like this. Generally, they'll be exposed. Someone will tell. There will be public exposure, whether through the media or just by word of mouth with the people in the town on the street that their goals are not good and that they are doing these things for have nefarious means behind why they're doing it. Well, I entered the program after doing this 3 months of social contacts, where you go down to a local precinct here and you ask one of these cops on the community policing teams to let you in the program. Well, there's also another way to get in the program, which is you walk some kind of drug paraphernalia up to a cop and you hand it to him and say, I want to be in the LEAD program. They write you a ticket, and when you appear in court, they refer you into this program for the supposed fucking help you need. Well, I felt like if I did a social contact, most people don't even know about this social contact and that they don't have to fucking tell on themselves to get into this program. And when I found out about it, I felt like that would be the best, most wholesome way for me to get into this program and try and make something of myself. Well, after doing the social contacts and entering the program, I was living with an individual that was managing an apartment complex on First Hill here in Seattle. This gentleman took me into his house, took me under his wing, regardless of who he is or why, and he just wanted somebody around. He's an older guy managing these apartments. He wanted someone to help him clean and fix up the apartments for on move-ins and move-outs, and he just wanted someone to be around and kick it with him. Well, he gave me a definitive timeline of 3 months. He said, you've got 3 months to get your ass into a program, get motivated, and do something with yourself, and then you got to go, because I'm old and I want to move a woman in here after you. So I agreed, and I worked my butt off for him and for and getting into this program. And when I finally got in, it was the end of the 3 month period this guy gave me, and I told him, look, I got the appointment to do the intake and all that, and can you give me an extra week or two? He said, yeah. I went down to the first appointment, and the fucking case manager I was supposed to see ditched me. He cold ditched me. I was given no reason as to why he did this, and I had to go back to this apartment with this gentleman and tell him that I had been ditched on the first appointment, and there's probably just a clerical error or something like that, or the guy forgot, and that I needed, a little more time. He agreed. I went to the second appointment. This fucking punk ditched me again. Decided that I wasn't worth his time, or that he had something more important to do, or whatever, that I wasn't worth it. So the third meeting, I meet this chunk motherfucker finally. He looks like Adonis. The guy is tall, very muscular, very beautiful male, very beautiful looking, really physically attractive to the women, I guess I'd say. And I could tell he thought very highly of himself, and that he decided who was worth his time and who wasn't. Which everybody can do. That's okay for anybody to decide whether or not someone's worth their time. But he decided that I wasn't worth his time without even meeting me or talking to me. So when I finally met him, I had a really cool pop-up opportunity out of the middle of nowhere happen for me, where I saved this woman from being attacked by a guy with a can of wasp spray And because of doing this, she offered me a job selling Obama phones, basically signing people up for Obama phones at the time. And she said all I needed to do was verify to her that I was in this program, that I was trying to do my best, and get a prepaid credit card with a routing number on it so they could pay me my paychecks, because this was all government certified. She could hire me. You know, it was all legit. Well, I went in, you know, after him ditching me these first few times, and set up an appointment with him to meet, for him to meet this woman and to get me going on this job. He ditched me at the fucking appointment again. Embarrassed the living hell out of me with this woman, cost me a job. And on top of that, the guy that I was staying with, you know, which I don't blame him in the least. He came to the conclusion I was lying, stalling for more time, and put me out of the apartment without any of my possessions that I had gathered together over the last 3 months to you know, just get myself going and keep myself with some clothes and stuff. Well, after costing me the friend, the job, and everything else, I became very angry. You know, just normal angry, not yelling or screaming or doing anything. I requested a meeting with the head of the program. I got that meeting, and I told her I wanted to switch case managers because this guy was ditching me. His name was Brandon, as I remember. Well, she agreed. She gave me a new case manager. This new case manager she gave me, her name was Tracy Gillespie. Well, Miss Gillespie, I will admit at the beginning, she caught me angry with this guy, and I kind of chewed her out right away. First time I met her, telling her how important it was for her to follow through on appointments with me because of how highly motivated I was to put my life together, and because I had a very honestly and sincerely and emotionally and very truthfully held a dream in me about learning how to cut hair, to open a barbershop for the homeless to cut hair here. I tried to be as convincing and truthful and open, you know, exposing myself emotionally to this woman I didn't know, to try and get the proper response and to get the help I needed to get into school. Well, she acted like she had compassion for that, and we set some parameters for the relationship with her and I, and you know, between her and I. I demanded that it be very professional, and that she follow through on everything she said she would do. She agreed, and she agreed that if I worked my butt off, got myself into treatment, got sober, got my head on straight, and got myself ready to go to school, that she would help me do everything I needed to get that done, you know, to make myself a success story. So I very quickly and diligently went to work. I got myself into a local treatment program. I got myself sober. I started screwing my head on straight, and I started looking at my options as far as what would be best for me to do to get my mind and my body and my soul back in shape to be able to enter school and succeed when I got there. So I realized I needed to rebuild my work ethic, and I went and signed up at a mental health facility, basically a day center, where you can go in and they eat lunch, get showers, all that kind of stuff, called it's on 4th and Battery here in Seattle, called CPC, Central Psychiatric Center, some shit like that. I started volunteering there in the day center, cleaning and doing whatever needed to be done for between 20 and 30 hours a week. Very quickly, I found that I liked doing it. I loved serving the people without reward. They gave me sodas at the end of the day for doing it, and that was reward enough for me. I felt like I had some giving back that I needed to do to the community after all the bad things I'd done, like stealing, doing drugs, but never anything big. Like I never robbed any houses or cars, or did any assaulted people, or robbed credit cards, banks. I never did anything big and bad nefarious. It was always minor shoplifting and minor drug dealing that I would do to feed my habit and get by. So when I started volunteering at CPC, it gave me a very good feeling about myself, and I quickly took to it, and I made it a daily thing for me to go there Monday through Friday, volunteer, and to work my hardest and do my best to, like I said, rebuild my work ethic and build some character back, and get myself ready for school. Well, I was able to build a further program for myself, which was isolating from the drugs and the other druggies that I knew on the street, keeping myself away from that stuff, away from any kind of nefarious bad behavior, and also, just working on my personal stuff, keeping myself clean, keeping myself positive, and keeping myself out and looking for better things to do with myself in the community. Well, I decided that I wanted to attend school at a local community college that had a cosmetology program, because I wanted to expand my dream of helping these people from just cutting hair into doing nails and foot care, because these people need a lot of help with that. These people run around with the same shoes and socks on, for weeks at a time. They're getting their nails. Their hands are terrible, and anything I could do to help these people look better and disguise themselves in the community, from being homeless and being addicts, would enable them to, would further their, any of their goals for, getting contacts in the city, for jobs, for them, making their dreams come true. And I then, after quite a bit of time, it was a few months of volunteering and everything, I felt like I was ready to make the jump into getting some housing, because you can't just go from being on the street into jumping straight into some kind of housing and expect yourself to be all better, right away. It's not the world works. And so I took the time to, put myself all back together, get healthy, and then search for some housing, and I found it. Found it pretty quickly. There's a program called the Essential Needs Program here in Seattle at DSHS, where they will pay your rent for an apartment if you can find one and you qualify, and give you the basic toiletries, cleaning supplies, shit like that you need to keep the apartment clean, keep yourself clean, and keep yourself moving forward. So I got this certificate for the apartment, and I delayed my entry into the program specifically with, in conjunction with Tracy Gillespie, and building a plan with her, sticking to that plan, but then also making sure that I was totally ready once I got into this apartment to succeed, because I felt like this might be my last chance to succeed. So her and I had put a plan together where I wanted to get my teeth out right before I got into the apartment, so that once I got in there, I could have the proper implements I needed to fucking prepare food for myself, have my mouth healed correctly so that I could get dentures, have them set right, and I could retain some of my looks so that I could have better opportunities when it came to jobs. People treat me okay, because you deal with a lot of fucking bigots in this world, like Lee and Tracy Gillespie and Naja Morris, the lady that ran the program at the time. And when you look better, you tend to be able to deal with these fucking bigots that say that they're here to help the homeless and all that, but then every time they see them, look down on them for whatever problem it may be that they're having that day with their appearance. So I felt like my teeth were a big deal. So Tracy, after all this time of working my ass off, her buying me a bus pass every month, and then also us making a special little kind of deal on the side for me with being able to send her text messages, not expecting a response, not expecting a fucking friendship or anything with this person, because when it comes to case management in these programs, you need to be professional. You can't be personal, because you start favoring people or not liking people or not favoring them, doling out certain things to people you shouldn't. So, be equal. You can't form personal relationships with these people. The person being managed, the person in the case management, can't develop any kind of personal feelings over these people, because, these case managers often leave and go to new programs, and that can lead to heartbreak for the person after forming attachments. and it just needs to be professional. And we agreed that that needed to happen. And I was doing it with her because she's in her late 20s, and this fucking girl probably didn't understand this. She didn't understand the concept and how important it is for these people in case management to do this. And so I took the time to explain it to her, and then build a rapport with her, and then also ask her if I could use the communication method that we used, which was text messages, to dump my feelings into text messages and use it as an outlet for me and my feelings. She agreed, and I started using the texts and typing in the things that were happening to me daily to release my feelings, because I have no friends, I have no family, and I have nobody to express these feelings to. So we both solidly agreed that it would be healthy for me to express my feelings in the text messages, and that she would never, on any occasion, regard them as to her, or or take them personally, or read anything into that situation. She agreed. Well, at the end of all of this very hard work I had done, I finally decided I was ready to get into the apartment. So I went ahead and exercised went ahead and used the certificate and got an apartment, and set up a plan for her before I got the apartment to get my teeth removed, and for her to put me in a hotel room while I was getting the procedure done, so that I could go right from sleeping inside in the hotel room right to the apartment and have some time off the streets beforehand, so that I could acclimate in a healthier manner and make my transition from the street into indoor living and being in an apartment again easier, and make the conditions of my transfer a little more conducive to success and feeling comfortable in there, because a lot of times people like me that have been on the street long term can get into an apartment and feel extremely lonely and extremely scared because they're in there by themselves. They haven't been inside for a long time, and it ends up turning into almost like a jail cell for a lot of us. So I moved into the apartment after being in this hotel for a couple weeks. Tracy seemed like she was completely on board. She was being very professional. She was meeting the needs that I asked her to meet months beforehand and fulfilling her end of the bargain. Well, when I moved into the apartment, I think it was 2 days after getting the last of the procedures done. And she was supposed to show up and buy me a blender, just meet me somewhere and buy me a blender, so that I could blend the food that I needed to eat and properly get the nutrition I needed. And also I didn't have a way to buy a blender, so and I had very little food stamps by this time left that month. So she knew I was going to need a way to conserve my food stamps and be able to feed myself, so that I wasn't going to these food lines where all the drugs and the druggies are, and having to go out, especially, most importantly, very, very most important, not beg, borrow, or steal to help myself survive in this apartment. Well, Tracy decided to fucking bail. She decided that it was up to her to decide at that point in time what I needed and what I didn't, after agreeing very specifically to all the things that I suggested, and seeming like at the time to do it genuinely. Well, when Tracy ditched me on getting the blender, I was hurt. I was bleeding. I'm bleeding from my mouth in this apartment, having a very hard time eating anyways, and had blown about half of my food stamps. And on purpose, we had set up a plan where I'd spend half in the hotel, half in the apartment, and we had timed it all for when I got my food stamps, so that all of this would work out perfectly. Well, I move into this apartment, I can't eat correctly, I'm in a lot of pain, and she ditches me. So I end up having to spend my food stamps on buying whatever soft food I can out of the store. And also I had a court date, which is the lead program's deal is to keep you from going back to jail for stupid little shit that people go to jail for downtown here, being druggies, and to lower the lessen the burden not only on the system but on us as a community, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that, about having to worry to go to jail for these stupid little things. But then we're supposed to have the case manager actually attend the court dates that we have for any kind of charges we have or getting into the program, so that they can vouch for us and our work in the program. And there's no other way for the judges, the lawyers, anybody to find that out unless the case manager does updates with the prosecuting attorney, which this program is run directly out of the prosecuting attorney's office here in Seattle, and the case manager would need to give updates to the prosecuting attorney's office, so that if you get sucked into jail on some kind of a warrant, some stupid little thing, new charges, whatever, they know you're in the program and they can properly deal with you and meet fulfill their promises to you about being in the program and directing you away from recidivism and going back to jail and into these programs or whatever your plan is. Well, Tracy decided she didn't need to give any fucking updates to anybody and never told anybody about me, and then on top of that ditched me on the fucking court date I was supposed to go to here in Seattle. Well, I also had another court date in Tukwila, which is near to Seattle here, for the same thing, which was a minor shoplifting, where I had to go in and tell the judge what I was doing and what had been going on and what I had been doing with my life. Well, I asked Tracy to write me a letter to the judge in Tukwila in an effort to save her time, because the case managers have very busy schedules. You have to be conscious of that. They've got a lot of people on their caseloads, and they're really undermanned in a lot of ways to properly do their jobs. And so, in an effort to be more compassionate to her needs, because she had done it for me, which is what any human being should do, I asked her to write me a letter to this judge in Tukwila detailing the work I had done, the progress I had made, and the person that I wanted to become. And we agreed that she would come to the court date here in Seattle, and she would show up in person. So I go to the court date in Tukwila. Right before I went to the apartment, I saved the letter she wrote me in case she ditched me, because she started acting real funny at the end there, acting really different for some reason, and it was unprovoked behavior. I did nothing to make her think that I was improperly, or that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to, or that I had improper kind of feelings towards her or anybody else involved with my situation. And she just ditched me on this court date. So when I went to the court date, I still went. I didn't have much knowledge about rescheduling, court dates or anything like that. I just figured I had the court date, I had to go. I figured she would show. I sent her numerous text messages telling her when the court date was, made numerous calls to her, and told her face to face what I needed and when it was. She agreed to come. Well, when I went to this court date, the judge called me a liar about being in the program and remanded me. The judge then brought me back 2 weeks later, called me a liar again, and sent me up for more time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and start uploading this to YouTube and start a new one.